All right, welcome everyone. My name is Hall Jones. I was a Lambda Beta from 1991. It's James Madison University. I'm also Kappa Delta Rho Foundation president. We decided, for the first time to do one of these webinars for a couple purposes. One, just to highlight that, the scholarship program and to try to encourage more people to apply for the scholarships. We have a significant amount of money that we would love to distribute. And I'll tell you, over the last several years, we seem to invariably have one or two or three scholarships that don't get applications. So I'm going to introduce Irving Montgomery and Scott Wagner, some past scholarship winners that can talk a little bit about the benefits they've seen from their scholarships. Then we'll run through kind of all the scholarships, or from a high level, all the scholarships that we have available, and a little bit about the application process, and we'll open up for any questions that you may have. So with that, let me just pass it on quickly to Irving and then to Scott, just to talk for a minute or two about what the scholarships have meant to them, and then we'll get to the presentation.
Sounds good. So my name is Irving Montgomery. I currently work at KDR headquarters as the Director of Character Development. I had the pleasure of winning scholarships for the past 3 years, one as an undergrad and then twice as a graduate student. The process was pretty simple. I think it's the same, kind of similar to any scholarship that I've ever applied for. So not for Hall to hear this, but I kind of used a lot of the same stuff and updated it to fit what's going on in my life now. But it definitely took the financial burden off of paying for school. Undergraduate degree was expensive. Trust me, your graduate degree is even more expensive. So I was able to pay for some of my tuition and textbooks and stuff like that. And then was able to use, the money that I was making from working to cover the other portion of it. But I definitely suggest you all applying for it. Like Hall said, we never give out the full amount. So the more applications and quality applications we get, the more money we could give out.
All right, Scott.
All right. Hey everyone, I'm Scott Wagner. I'm a current senior at Indiana University and a former chapter president for the new chapter. So I received the scholarships this past fall in August. So what that's meant for me is, like Irving said, it kind of helps take the burden off of paying for parts of tuition. So, I can focus more on stuff like careers and finding a job, especially as a senior, being able to devote time to that and not having to, focus on financials as much. And then also the scholarships process, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I think the questions weren't too difficult, especially as a former chapter president, just being able to speak on my experience and what KDR has meant to me a lot. I think it's nice to see that kind of being rewarded or giving back to members of KDR and members of different chapters, especially also for a new chapter, having specific scholarship foundations for our chapter, I think says a lot and can be very helpful. So definitely, make sure to check those out, because I know different chapters have different scholarship funds where it only goes towards people in those chapters. And also if you're going to like grad school or if you're in a certain major, there's specific scholarships for those. So, there's one for pretty much everyone. I would just say apply. It's not that hard and not scary at all. And you're more than likely to get one than not. So, yeah.
All right, Scott, thank you. Let me just pull up. I've got a very quick presentation. Is that the page? Oh, let's go with it from here. The overall scholarship program, there are 44 individual scholarships scholarship funds that we have. Some of them give out multiple scholarships or multiple stipends. I think last year we had almost 60 different individuals receive scholarships at the scholarship luncheon in the August convention. There's over $100,000 available that we can give out if all the scholarships are applied for by qualified applicants. And those types of scholarships vary. We do have a few needs-based scholarships. Two of them are chapter specific. One of them is a general scholarship available to the entire brotherhood. There are a number of chapter specific scholarships. There are field of studies scholarships, like for law school, for engineering. There's some graduate scholarships, for as an MBA scholarship. And then, some scholarships are open to the general membership. The scholarship program is something that we've put added emphasis on in the foundation over the last 3, 4, 5 years. So I did want to highlight that we've had 8 new scholarship funds that were added in the past 2 years. A few of those are in estate plans, so they will be funded at some point in the future, and we'll be able to benefit future KDRs down the road. But most of them have been fully funded and are being distributed this year. And included in that group was our first scholarship that was based in part on financial need. And now we've expanded it from 1 to 3 scholarships in our program based on financial need. We gave out over $86,000 in scholarships. That's different than the $100,000 that's available, because as has been the case, there's always seems to be a handful of scholarships that don't receive applicants. And then hopefully we are at least in part going to rectify that with this webinar recording and maybe emailing this recording out to parents. I know they have a vested interest in making sure that their kids apply for these scholarships. For eligibility, they vary to a degree, but for the most part, if you're in good standing with the fraternity and you have a 3.0 GPA, you'll pretty much qualify for any of the scholarships. The steps in the process. You just go to the KDR.com to the foundation page. There's a subpage for scholarships and the application procedures. You give your information, name, address, what your address is going to be over the summer. Then with the scholastics, we're just looking for, what is your GPA? The essays that Scott had mentioned, they're relatively simple. It's really about campus involvement, community involvement, and fraternity service are the 3 main essays. And then the 4th essay just says the thank you. We do ask all the applicants to write a thank you letter to the donors. Assuming you win, what would you like to say in thanks to the donors who helped support this scholarship, who paid it forward so that you could receive a stipend? I will caveat this by say one type of thank you that probably kept a student from getting a scholarship is that in his thank you, he said, basically, I got the scholarship because I deserved it. That's not the direction you should go with your thank you notes. The next page in the application just has the list of the scholarships. Most of those scholarships that we have, based on what chapter you're from or what your field of study is, it'll be automatic, but there are a few in there that you would need to check the box. So I would suggest you review the whole list of the scholarships that are there, particularly the ones that you might need to check off if you think that you would qualify for those. And then either if you're going to still be an undergrad next year, we need a copy of your transcript, or if you're going to grad school, then just evidence that you have been accepted into a graduate program. And then lastly, we'll need to the contact information for the bursar's office at the school that you would want the stipend to come. And so it's relatively simple. I think the application process is pretty straightforward. That's really all we have for a prepared presentation. So, fairly short and sweet, but be happy to open it up and answer any questions that anyone has.
Paul, could you touch on new member scholarships?
Yeah, the new member scholarships, it's really for anyone who is completing their pledge semester and achieves a 3.0 GPA, can submit an application to receive, I believe it's $100 stipend as a scholarship. And that's, any brother that completes their pledge semester with a 3.0 or better would be eligible for that. Every chapter should be encouraging their new members to apply for that.
Hall, I had a question as well. So last year I got a scholarship, but it was presented to me at convention. How would you receive that or receive notification of it if you're not attending convention? Because convention's not happening this year.
There will be, an email sent out to the winners. There will also be, we also produce a scholarship video that announces all the winners. Kyle, it's a good question, being that this is an off year. We may, choose to do, we'll probably do some postings on social media as well. For every winner, we send out an email, up for the sake of argument for Scott, for the new chapter scholarship. Every every Indiana alumni, and in addition, anyone else who may have contributed to that scholarship receives notice that Scott won. So it's not, we'll tell the winners that they won, but we're also making sure that we tell the donors to each of the fund, a little bit about, and that's why it's important, for whether it's the thank you letter or other background in the application, people that have donated to these funds, they want to know who they're a little bit about who they're helping. And, it is, a good service on our part to continue to provide that communication to them. And, because we want them to feel good about the contributions they made. We want them to feel that they've, that it's been money well spent, well invested by, by investing essentially in future KDRs. Giving that money to the foundation is something they should feel good about. So, the announcement would probably come out, first couple weeks of August. So a similar time frame for when the lead I may have to talk to Irving about this. We may even try to tie something in. I know the leadership school is going to be remote, but there may be some way we can tie in an announcement about all the winners with the leadership school as well, but they'll have to work on that.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Zach.
What is like the deadline to apply? If you mentioned that, I failed to.
No, that's a great question. The deadline is, I think on the website still says June 23rd. It should be June 15th. We extended it to the 23rd last year because we had like 40 applicants that had half an application and didn't complete it. And we sort of went back out to them as like, look, we'll leave it open an extra week if you guys can get in there and finish them up. But the portal's open now. I think it officially opened maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and is open through mid-June.
All right, thank you.
I also have a question. Thank you for the presentation. My question is, how many scholarships should we or can we apply to? Because you mentioned that there are different types of scholarships. Or should we be only focusing on like the one that we find the most like pertinent to us?
What? Apply for every single one of them you think you apply for. There are some chapter scholarships give out multiple stipends. However, if only one person applies for that scholarship, that one person gets the whole thing. The way the portal is set up, if, based on, your academics, your chapter, the information there, it is going to list, you qualify for these scholarships, and it's going to be a list. You're not going to have to check the box for many, like the field of study and maybe a couple other ones are the real ones where you have to say, okay, I'm studying this, and so I need to check this box for the scholarship. So you're not going to have to go in and say, okay, I want this one, I don't want this one, I want this one. It just shows up as a list, and you're kind of automatically entered into the pool when you fill out the application.
Thank you. Well, I guess I have another question.
Sure.
How would we, like, say I got a scholarship from KDR, how would we be receiving these scholarships? Would it be directly? Would it be through our institute, like our school? Yeah,
the checks are sent directly to the bursar's office. If you go back far enough, the foundation used to give out checks at the scholarship luncheon, and then decided that maybe that wasn't the best way to ensure that the money was being applied to the students' educational endeavors. And so, like I said, that was quite a few years ago when we used to do that. So that's why in the application portal, it asks for contact information for the bursar's office at your college or university. And so they would receive it directly to put that money against your tuition. And one other thing, for the needs-based scholarship, there is one extra piece of information that is required as opposed to the merit-based scholarships. And and what it is, you just need to show proof that you have received financial assistance from your school, whether it's the FAFSA form or something similar. That's on the portal, but that was just wanted to mention that since we have the newer needs-based scholarships that have been added to the program. And for what it's worth, I'm a past scholarship winner too. I had got 2 graduate scholarships. Any other questions? All right, well, great. Well, thank you for jumping on the call. I greatly appreciate that. I will echo Scott saying I strongly encourage everyone to go to the portal and go through the application process. Look on the other places on the foundation portal. There's a place where there are some descriptions about the individuals that some of the scholarships are named after. But please apply, and nothing would make me or Bill Paris, who's also a trustee on the foundation, Bob Saltzman, who's a director, who's on the call. Nothing would make us happier if you could totally clean us out of all the scholarship funds that we have to distribute for the next academic year. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.